Hi again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Odyssey House Journals, one of the most watched and listened to podcasts dealing with addiction and recovery. I don't want to make you guys nervous, but we have literally tens of thousands of people around the world and around the United States watching or listening to the podcast. Did that make you nervous?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, then I accomplished what. I'm Randall Carlisle. My guest co-host is Nicole Slack, who is also, I'm in recovery, she's in recovery, and our guest today is Justin, who is also in recovery. Fancy that. What a coincidence. The three of us are here for a podcast dealing with addiction and recovery, and we're all in recovery. So
Yeah.
welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you, Nicole, and I hope you enjoyed doing this. And Justin, I hope it becomes the whole point of this, and that's the reason we try to get to the bottom of your story, is we hope to provide inspiration, some thoughts. If somebody's watching and they have a loved one who is dealing with addiction, or somebody who may be in addiction, that recovery is possible. you know,
Absolutely.
Right? Because we're all in recovery, so we're examples of that.
Yeah.
So maybe you could just start, you are currently in a treatment program at Odyssey. How long have you been there?
Since September of this year, 2023. So,
You're sort of a newbie. In Odyssey terms.
yeah, Odyssey terms, yes. But prior to that, I was at Red Barn Academy for 11 months.
Okay.
That's where I really got my turnaround, my paradigm shift, I could say, you know what I mean? All these negative behaviors I didn't know I really had, or didn't know that's what was like holding me back or holding me down. And I mean, I came there as a completely broken individual, right? I've been a taker my whole life. And,
You say you've been a taker your whole life. Maybe start towards the beginning. How'd you grow up and how did your addiction begin?
I grew up, separated parents, you know what I mean? My mom couldn't take care of me. I was kind of a wild child. It started off with, me stealing from stores at a very young age.
How young?
As early as 7 years old, probably, you know what I mean?
7?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And also, at the same age, maybe a little older, my mom would drop me off with a bag full of quarters at the 7-Eleven. I'd play video games all day, you know what I mean? So, like, I was around gang members and people that weren't right for me, you know what I mean, to be around at that age.
Sure.
Probably. And so, and I would do stuff for them, right? Like, they'd ask me to go take something, and I would, right? Just because I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to feel a part of.
When did you start using and what were you using?
That started probably, around 12 or 13. I started drinking alcohol. I would take it from my parents' liquor cabinets, when I got home from school.
Do you think they knew?
I did the whole fill it in with water trick, you know what I mean?
I did the same thing, and my parents never figured it out.
Yeah.
You got to figure, like, because they were normal drinkers, okay? And so when they would have people over to play a card game or something like that, they'd mix drinks for people. And you got to wonder if the people, like if somebody said a vodka tonic, okay, because it's all clear, I wonder if people were wondering, wait, it doesn't have much of a kick here,
Right.
because it was mostly water. So go ahead. I didn't mean to.
No,
I remember doing that.
I think we're all kind of similar, right? In how we got to our worst points of addiction is where things get kind of hazy, right? But I think I started smoking weed or marijuana, in middle school a little bit, and then high school progressed, and then just from there, I started using with my mom. You know, my mom was in an active addiction for well, as long as I can remember, right? I remember finding it and, you know, asking her what it was. And then we ended up getting high together, you know what I mean? Like, and it just, that was the way we connected. And that's the way we you know, spent time with each other, you could say.
Well, that's an interesting thought. What were you getting high on? Was it meth?
Meth, yes, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever, you were a recovering alcoholic, Nicole. Did you, and you have kids, but they're younger?
I have a 20-year-old and a 10-year-old.
20 and 10. Did you ever drink with your 20-year-old?
Like New Year's? Like not definitely not at a super young age, but we definitely let her in the safety of our home, I guess is how we thought of it, like a little bit, but never like partying with them or anything like that. We were just, I was raised by parents from another country, so I was allowed to drink with my parents at a young age. Young for the U.S. For my parents at like 16, we could have like wine with dinner.
So for you, using with your mom was a pleasant experience because you just
Absolutely. Yeah, it wasn't until I got older where, you know, I started holding resentments towards her, you know what I mean? Or like thinking she was a bad mom, right? Like, and, you know, I'd throw that in her face to get what I wanted to, right? Like, you know, whether it be new clothes, shoes, money, you know what I mean? I'd say you owe it to me, you know what I mean? And, you know, that was another thinking error in itself, right?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
and it's pretty hard for her to say, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. You know what I mean? And
I think using with the parents, I don't come from a drug background, so when I went into Odyssey House and saw it was like a 50-50, like people used with their parents, and I was like, oh, like for me, obviously alcohol is like a little less taboo to do with your parents or whatever, at like, you know, in your teens, or not a lot, but even just what I did with my daughter. But it was kind of common in the house to hear like, yeah, I used for the first time with my mom or my dad, and that was like our connection, and that was kind of shocking to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did you continue to use? And obviously it became a problem because you sought treatment, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been in active addiction for over 20 plus years. So I've like had a long time of, you know, entitlement issues, being selfish, inconsiderate, you know, a liar, a cheater, a thief, you know, all these things today that I could say that I'm not, right? Because I live my life with integrity, honesty, and accountability.
For the first time.
For the first time. You know, I didn't know anything about these kind of values before, right? Like, I mean, I was probably raised to, like, for my dad, like, to be honest, you know, but I didn't really know what they meant or how to do it because I was at a young age just doing whatever I wanted.
Sure.
And but I didn't know, like, that's what was making me feel broken or you know, lost and confused on how to become a better person, right? And like my heart's always been in the right place, I think, but I couldn't get it in sync with my thoughts. You know what I mean? And with the having your thoughts in rhythm or in motion with your actions, you know, you become a better state of being. And you know, that's what I wanted, and I didn't know how to do it. So yeah, here I am 16 months later in recovery, and I feel like the person I see in the mirror. You know, I have an 11-year-old daughter, you know what I mean, that
Wow.
I want to be able to show up for, and so yeah, I'm just grateful to get another chance to to fix myself and to fix the person that I was and become the person I want to be.
You know, if people are watching or listening and don't understand addiction, if you take one thing from this podcast, and it struck me in the 6 years of working at Odyssey House now and with myself, is that what you just said is so critical, because people are not born to steal and manipulate and lie. People are born pretty pure, and there's within most of us, except for maybe psychopathic killers or something, we do have that goodness. But drugs or alcohol becomes so dominant in our lives that it overshadows the goodness that's within us. And so I guess I would urge you not to judge somebody because they say, I'm an addict or I'm an alcoholic, because it is a disease, and you can recover from it, and you can find the good values in yourself again, which is one reason I like working here. Nicole, I mean, maybe we should talk about recovery. What do you like about recovery? What's it done for you? And I'll start. I used to be exactly like you said. I would lie about my alcoholism. I didn't care about other people because I put myself first all the time. I was always concerned I went through 4 wives, and it was always their fault, not mine, which is not the case. But I was always concerned about, would there be alcohol somewhere where I was going, because that was my drug of choice. And I always was thinking, me, 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 me. And now with recovery, I care about other people. I'm more patient, I'm more loving, I'm more peaceful. It's just, and I'm happier inside. And I always thought I was happy when I was drunk. So, Nicole, what?
I think I might think it a little differently, because when you're in Odyssey, there's 11 questions you have to answer about yourself in your first stage at Odyssey, and one of the questions is, what did you value when you were using? And everyone always says nothing. And I find that even though I was selfish and even though I was doing all those things, my values were still like, I wanted to do better. I wanted to be better. And yeah, I did put alcohol first, and I did, like, my whole day was based on, like, go to work and planning, like, getting to the liquor store, like, and, like, looking forward to that. I'm off at 4, by 4:30 I'll have my alcohol, then I can go home. But I still didn't want to do that. I still wanted to be a mom and do better. Like, I don't want to drink today. But then slowly my day would keep going. I'd start planning, liquor store by, 4:15, and going to different liquor stores so that I wouldn't see the same people buying from.
She's back.
Yeah, so planning out which one I would go to and doing all that. But I still feel like I valued, like, my value. I wasn't representing my values, but I still, like, to my core, like, it was my kids. Like, I wanted to do better for my family and those that love me, that are not family, that treat me like family, because I don't have a lot of close family. But those that love me, I wanted to do better for them, and I wanted to be better. I just didn't. It was just easier to drink and go to sleep than confront everything I was doing to them.
Sure.
So for me, it was that. I don't know.
And now,
And now I'm able to go see them and spend time with them, and it just feels so much different. Like, I feel like what you said, like, you look in the mirror and, like, I feel like the person I'm looking at reflects what I am inside.
what about feelings? I mean, how do you feel now? Are you happy, or
I'm 18 months sober, but I think I'm still dealing with feelings. So I still am like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that you have to feel things. And so, yeah, it's definitely still something therapy helps. But yeah, I like feeling, but now everything's so strong. Whereas before, if I felt bad about something, you just drink.
Right.
And then you don't have to feel. And that made it so much easier. Now I have to face them, and it's exhausting. So I'm hoping that fades out.
It's the same thing, though, that everybody who is not an alcoholic or a drug addict.
A normie?
Normie. It's the same thing that they go through, but they deal with it without drinking or using, right?
Yeah.
How about you? you're in sort of short-term recovery, I guess. How long?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the everyday stresses of life, right, like, is what, like Nicole was saying, you know, like, which led us to drinking, because or even not even knowing like how to deal with our coping mechanism, or having coping mechanisms that, you know, were healthy, right, and the way to process stuff. And now, you know, being in recovery, you know, I'm able to be conscious of my wicked thoughts, you could say, right? Like, or the thoughts that I would have before. I'm aware of them now, and I use them, you know, to cognitively not act on them, right? And you know, the day-to-day stresses, I just take a step back, you know what I mean, and breathe. You know, meditation helps a lot, right? Like, always being present, you know, and not thinking about the future or thinking about the past. The only time I think about the past is now is the, like, okay, I made a decision to do something, you know, steal from a store. Like, okay, look what the trouble I got me into, and it's just it's a ripple effect, right? You start doing one thing that's not probably value centered, and then you'll start doing something small, and then it gets into bigger ones, right? So I think always trying to do the next right thing, always, and that's the mindset I have too, right? Is like, you know, don't deviate from that, and I feel like everything works itself out. Like, the universe is kind to me, right? Because I'm kind to it, and like every day I try to do the next right thing, whether it be picking up a piece of trash off the floor that I see, you know, not walking by it, or wiping down the sink when I'm done using it, you know what I mean? Making my bed in the mornings. Like, these are all little wins that, you know, I do every day that make me feel better, and it makes the day go better too.
That's a good explanation as to why Odyssey has such strict guidelines about the way you have to live while you're in the program. Because I've had people, I'm glad you brought up, like, making the bed or picking up a piece of paper, because I've had so many people say, I hate this program because they have all these stupid rules that, like, making my bed has nothing to do with recovery.
Absolutely it does. You know what I mean? Like, breaking the rules and not following guidelines has been like a core behavior of mine, right? Doing whatever the hell I want, and I think it's mandatory, right? Like, you know, it's doing like something different that I've never done before, and that's making my bed, cleaning up after myself, you know, doing my own laundry, you know what I mean?
Sure. It's something that normies do all the time.
Absolutely.
And they don't say, why the hell did I have to make my bed?
Yeah.
I mean, I live alone, and I make my bed every day, and I'm not sure why, but I feel better. Like, at night when I come to my bed, it's made, and I unmake it and crawl in.
Yeah.
But there's something, and it really is not that important, but it's sort of a structured lifestyle, I think.
Absolutely.
I think that that's what you lack when you're an addict, though, is structure.
Yeah.
For sure.
You're just doing. So when I went to Odyssey, they give you all these rules, and I was like, well, clearly I'm not doing anything right. So I'm just going to, you know, hand myself over to Odyssey and just do what they say. And everything's going better. So now, instead of being like, I know I'm not going to make my bed, like, there's no point, I'm just like, well, they told me to do that, and things have been going better, so I'm just going to continue to do these things that they told me to do that are right, because clearly what I thought was right wasn't. And it was a good start.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I facilitate a family support group, and a lot of the people have adult kids who are still actively using and are either in treatment on the streets or in jail. And the one thing they always want to know, because they all have hope for their addicted loved ones, is what is it that finally prompted you to seek treatment and find recovery? Is there one, you know, if we could find a magic bullet, we'd be the most successful treatment organization in the world. But what was it for you?
So I've been arrested 33 times, right? I've been
Whoa.
incarcerated a large portion of my life has been spent behind bars. This time it wasn't going to be, an overnighter, right? I was looking at possibly spending the rest of my my lifetime in jail, right, or in prison, and like I said, I was like on the run, right? I'm from California. I'm not from Utah, so I was on the run with it, and it's still something I have to deal with, and I haven't yet, but that's besides the point. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I sought treatment because I needed to do something different. I had to do something different. The only chance for me to survive, like to spend the rest of my life in jail, is like it would be, a complete. It'd suck, right? You know what I mean? And
It would suck.
And so now it's like I live my life now one choice away from doing that, right, or being dead. And that's the kind of the mindset I still have today, right? Like I'm one poor choice away from either dying or spending the rest of my life in prison. And so I don't know if that's answers your question at
No,
all.
it's a good answer. I think anybody facing those two choices.
Yeah. So
See, death or life in prison.
Yeah.
Or recovery.
Yeah, and I've been offered so many chances in everything that I've ever done, and by the grace of God, He gave me another chance to turn my life around, right? And I don't want to mess it up for myself and for my whole family too. You know what I mean? I'm getting their trust back. They love the person that they see too. They came and visited me last month, and it was awesome. And so I'm super grateful for Odyssey House, for Red Barn. Now I get to pay it forward, right? Like, because I came into Odyssey House with a pretty good head on my shoulders. I was there at Red Barn for 11 months, and I'd get the brakes beat off me every Tuesdays and Thursdays, telling me how I was falling short. And so I had a pretty good idea on the person I wanted to be, and the same values that I took from Red Barn, I brought them to Odyssey House. The accountability piece is like huge, right? Because it teaches people how to treat you, to act around you, and it keeps the house safe too, right? Because we're a therapeutic community. It's like an each one teach one right there, right? So what I have, I get to give away to someone else, and hopefully inspire them to do the same with the next person that comes in too, right?
Because you never know who's going to click with your story. Because my story is so different from your story. But when I was in Odyssey, it's wild to me, like, no one can understand you, right? Everyone's so unique. But then you realize, like, we all do have kind of the same core issue.
Absolutely.
And so you never know who you can help. And I love that about recovery. You never know who can hear your story and have that moment that they needed to want to turn it around. I was nervous. Were you nervous to, like, go into recovery? I was so nervous. I didn't know who I would be on the other side.
Recovery, I didn't know what to expect, right? It's the unknown, right? And it's uncomfortable in the beginning, but like you were saying, like, and we're all saying, is like, we live our lives of service now, right? And being of service to other people is what fills my cup, and like being so negative and so abusive to everybody and everything around me for so long, like, to be kind and come from a place of love to people, you know what I mean? It's really rewarding, you know what I mean? Like, even though I'm not getting paid, or I'm getting paid in other ways, right? Like,
Sure.
Helping someone else, it helps my recovery, helps me maintain my recovery, and you know, they say there's two types of people, right, out there. There's people that should be in recovery, and then there's people that are in recovery. And I'm a firm believer in that, right? Because I think everybody struggles with something, you know, and they hide it, mask it, and it's just, once you get that pulled out and you're able to move forward with, you know, a better state of being, an understanding of why you were like the way you were,
Mhm.
you can move forward and take ownership of, you know, the things that you've done, and really become the person that you want to become consciously, not even like with the subconscious behaviors that we had before, just reactions to the way we were treated or way we treated other people.
What kind of hope would you give to like the families I was talking about?
I guess the tough love thing, you know, I don't think it's a thing, but it's, you gotta always love your kids and give them hope, right, by inspiring them to do better, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, that's a good question, Randall.
Well, the problem we have in those groups is, obviously, if your kid's in addiction and comes in and asks for money, the best thing is not to give them money.
Absolutely.
They say, well, Mom, you don't love me if you
Yeah.
won't give me money.
Yeah,
Well,
and I played
well,
that card too, for sure.
well, I'm sure.
Yes.
And it worked, probably.
Yeah, several times, you know what I mean? And I think parents, yeah, they need to hold firm boundaries with their kids, you know what I mean? And it comes at a young age too, right? Teaching them how to act, you know, and how to treat the parent, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
but ultimately, I think, you know, parents never stop loving their kids, you know, and they should continue to always love their children and you know, seek treatment for them. But obviously, it's going to take them to change, right? They're going to want to have to change. So I think everybody's time's different, you know what I mean?
You are a fine example of recovery, and I wish you well in the future.
Thank you.
I told you this half hour would pass quickly, and it has passed quickly. So thank you for sharing your story and providing hope for other people, and I wish you well in your journey.
Thank you, Randall. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And Nicole, thanks for being a co-host today.
Yeah, Nicole's
You're
awesome.
welcome.
She is awesome.
She's
I
awesome.
agree.
She's a, you know, when she comes into the house and we run groups together, like it's fun, you know what I mean? Like, cause
She's
yeah.
a good person.
Yes.
Thank you for watching another edition or listening to one of Odyssey House Journals.